Welcome back to the video tech sheet series from Matrix System Automotive Finishes. Today we're going to focus on MP-200, the direct-to-metal primer. MP-200 comes with MP-200 and the MA-200 activator. So we're going to mix them 4-to-1. We can use a cup, or if we have a straight-sided container, we can use a stick. Remember, a stick should only be used in straight-side containers. We're going to mix 4 parts of the primer. Today we're going to do it to the 4 on here, so that's not really 4 ounces, but it's the number 4. And then we're going to add to the 5 the MA-200 activator. Always make sure with any product, stir it up really well. The chemicals need to get to know one another, and know what, you can't stir it too much. Don't worry about bubbles or anything like that, because it gets more air into it when you're spraying anyway. Speaking of spray gun, we're going to use an Air Gunza primer gun. It has a 1.8 fluid tip on it, and we're going to be doing 2 or 3 coats with this thing, so we want to make sure that it's clean and properly functioning so everything lays out smooth. Speaking of smooth, look at the way this panel was prepped. This panel is sanded thoroughly and cleaned thoroughly, but it's kind of sanded in a certain way. We have steel, we have existing finish, and we want to sand that clear coat so that the primer lays down nice over it. We don't want any overspray going on unsanded, so we're going to sand this area right in here, and that's where our first coat of primer is going to go. Not only that, we're going to take our second coat of primer and we're going to apply it over the first coat, but actually in a little bit so the overspray sits on top of the primer, not disrupting the adhesion to the substrate. So we know we're going to bridge that whole gap here. We have steel, we have existing finish. We want to prepare that with 320 out to the edge. This area in here we want to sand with 80 grit, but just on the feathered edge. We want to specifically address that ramp between the layers. Leaving about a 1/4 inch per layer is a good guideline. The areas beyond into the clear coat are 220 and 320 grit that only take a second, and they really make that primer lay down nicely on the existing finish. When your spray gun is spraying well, you can put the primer right where you want it. In this case, I landed the dry edge right into the 220, 320 of the existing finish, so it lays down nicely. Also, because of the shape of this repair, I sprayed it vertically like this instead of horizontally, where it would have led to more overspray on the unsanded area, thus enlarging the repair. I don't want to do that if I don't have to. Also, you really want to watch the thing dry. If you watch it dry and it dries all evenly, you know you've applied it evenly. I know the old joke is it's about as exciting as watching paint dry, but when you look at your paint flash, you, 1, know that the next layer is going to go on really, really nicely, and 2, you can feel the overspray and you can see, yeah, this is going well, this is smooth. See if you need to turn up your pressure or down your pressure, maybe control your gun a little bit more to get a nice smooth finish over the entire area. You don't want overspray sitting up on top of anything, and that messes it up and it makes it harder to sand later. You know you need to address certain areas, but you don't want to sand any more on the fringe than you need to, because you could cut through the existing clear coat. Again, that can enlarge a repair by taking it further into the unsanded clear. The second coat, as you can see, is applied just inside the first coat. I'm addressing the same area, but I'm not extending it beyond that. There you go. Now let's look at it. We got a guide coat on it. We're going to be sanding it. The time elapsed on this one is about an hour for the 2 coats, okay? We have the guide coat on it, and we know that there's some contouring in there because we're going over existing finish, and we have this area that we're going to blend it into the clear coat. We also have the feathered edge underneath, so we want to make sure it's on tight and smooth, and then we're going to start to sand it. So on an area that's big and flat and we want to achieve bodywork, we're going to use something rigid like a block. That way it'll bridge the different surfaces and make for a nice consistent edge that we can see in a reflection later on. The sandpaper, because it's so pliable like this will be really helpful in reverse curve areas and especially around edges and stuff to clean up. But we don't want to use that for straightening. With any kind of sanding, if it's going to be wet sanding, use lots of water. You can use a hose, a paper towel like I'm doing here, or whatever. Just keep it hydrated real well to keep that sandpaper clean. Now, I'm sanding across the radius like this, and that way it'll enhance the curve. Now, if I have any body work or anything, it should have been pretty straightened out before we applied the primer, but this is the fine-tuning that block sanding and priming does. Right in here, you're going to see the reflection already starting to take shape. But underneath here, I know there's the different layers, and I want a smooth contour across all of them. So at this point, I might see a little bit of the contour underneath, but that's exactly what the block is for, is to bridge that and to shave that flat. So a little more water and keep on going. On the fine edges here, where you see the overspray blending into the existing finish, The droplets have laid down really nice. Plus, we're putting it into a sanded area. You can see just beyond on the left it's unsanded, but this area is smooth and we know that it's sanded, so we drag a paper across it a couple of times. It's going to blend in beautifully into the existing finish. We don't have to chase dry spray, which is going to help us cut through the existing clear coat. A couple of swipes of the sandpaper like this, and you can see I haven't even gone another direction yet. A quick rinse, and you can see it's already mostly there. If I go the other direction and clean it up a little bit, with very little bit of work, I've managed to blend the primer surfacer into the existing finish with a nice transition right here that's not going to show when we apply top coat. Speaking of top coat, I better get done sanding the rest of this thing. So I take the loose paper or a soft pad and I finish wet sanding the rest of it. Again, paying attention to the edges, any guide coat that might be left, and I end up with a beautiful panel. After wiping it dry and preparing the rest of the panel for a color fade out or a blend, as is going to be on this panel, I'm ready to go. You can see the primer is smooth, the transition area is clean, and the edges are all cleaned up ready for top coat. This is what MP-200 does great. We took it from bare metal without an additional etch primer all the way up to a ready to spray panel. So this is MP-200. For more information, go to the video tech sheet series at matrixsystem.com. Thank you.